We'll call the July 8th meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. Would you kindly stand to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have an amended agenda. First of all, we've added two items, 4 and 5, that we've passed out the agenda, so just be cognizant of that. The first item on the agenda is to review the traffic enforcement data on Presidential Drive in consideration of traffic calming measures. You have before you a report from the Chief of Police in terms of the traffic study that was done on Presidential from June 24th to July 8th. Presidential Drive is a 30-mile-per-hour zone. The information basically indicates that there were over 12 traffic enforcement assignments done on Presidential during the time period. This included a breakdown of the summary of the efforts and charts. The report indicated that there were essentially most of the people that were traversing on Presidential were within the 30-mile-per-hour speed limit. There were a few outliers in that those speeds were 33 to, I think one was 41. There were three verbal warnings for speeding, 2 citations for speeding, and 1 citation for a marked lane violation. Based on the data that was presented, the Sergeant Feely, who put together the information, and I quote from his report, "The data included in this report supports the following. There is no immediate traffic safety issues on Presidential Drive, and no additional signage or engineering effort is needed." As you recall, the residents were here the last meeting, and Mr. Molliker is with us today, requesting us to put speed bumps as a traffic calming measure. The board had voted to ask the police department to go up there and make a determination and study based on traffic enforcement. This is the confines of the report. As you can see, that most everybody that is traversing during the period the police department was there was within the speed limits. So I guess the question comes is, I throw it open to the board for discussion and possibly a motion.
Are there speed limit signs on Presidential?
Yes, go ahead, Paul. Mr. Molliker.
Since the last meeting, if you remember, Braintree originally had 1 speed bump up on the street, Jefferson Street, which is the street for the Braintree Golf Course. That was about a year and a half ago when I came to the board for the first time. Calls to the head of the DPW. They have 8 streets that they have speed bumps on, one of which is Forest Street. So a week ago, Friday night, I took a ride up, last Friday night, I took a ride up to Forest Street. And my parents used to live off Forest Street in Braintree, so we're familiar with the street. And it's a cut through. It's a cut through from around St. Clair's to Columbian Street. And on that street, there's 2 sets of speed bumps. And I was out taking a couple of pictures, and a lady's walking her dog, probably about my age, 25, and she asked me what I'm doing. I said, I'm taking pictures trying to get speed bumps for our street. And she says, well, we tried several years ago with no luck, and even one of the people on the street was, I don't know if he was town moderator, he had some elected position in the town. And she said there was, we had no luck convincing the board to do it. And then probably a week later, some kid got hit on the street and survived, fortunately. So I think as far as the survey, the police were down 12 times, probably maximum an hour at a time. And when I talked to the DPW chief in Braintree, he said before they do consider speed bumps on the street. They survey the people on the street. So that's what I did. And there's 27 houses on Presidential. 19 of the 27 signed the survey okaying speed bumps. The other 8 weren't home. I tried a couple times, a lot of people on vacation. And of those 8 people, a year and a half ago, when I did a survey, the 5 of those 8 signed the survey. The other 3 people never opened the door or whatever. So of the 19 who signed it, that's 70% of the total people in the street, which was 100% of the people that I talked to. No one said no. And again, so here's the mitigant. The mitigant is the police are there 12 hours, maybe 12 hours during the survey, and the people on the street live there. And everyone on the street is in agreement that speeding's an issue, and there's 22 kids on Presidential itself, all different ages, mostly they're all relatively young kids. And I think for the cost to putting the temporary speed bumps in, which is probably like about maybe $2,000, it's definitely worth the investment. Again, the police say no, but the residents on the street are in 100% agreement that it's an issue, and they don't want to get to a situation like Braintree that some poor kid gets hit by a car. So that's my rebuttal to the police report. So
Okay, well,
and
thank you.
there's no speed limit signs on the street at all.
I think we talked about
The
that.
nearest one is like 40 miles an hour on Hancock before you enter Presidential, and with like the new GPSs.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I thought we changed the speed limit to
We
Hancock.
did, yeah, Hancock, the signs, they had to wait till the beginning of the fiscal year to order them, and that's why I was going to ask the town manager if he could just follow
There
up.
is a sign on Hancock Street, just an FYI, that's behind like all kinds of like trees and poison ivy and stuff. You can't see it, so you may want to cut that down. So anyways, that's our point, and
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Paul. I think, from my perspective, I appreciate and I understand your position. Subsequent to the last meeting, had a person on Hancock Street asked if they could have speed bumps. I've had inquiries on on Hancock Street. They wanted speed bumps. And people, Spruce Street, because they consider that a cut-through from Rockland, and Birch Street as well. So I think the question becomes, it's more of a, from our standpoint, a global, townwide issue, clearly, that we have to take into consideration. I understand your concerns. I understand where you stand on it. I think just on this particular issue, I perhaps differ only on the premise based on the data as we had asked at the last meeting. And then if we were to be, at least, I don't know where the board's going, but if we were to approve it, and then, the cost of putting it in, and then we have other streets who could very well come up and make a salient argument, and the people on those streets, I'm sure, would want it as well. So I think we have to look at the town in totality versus what we've got the money to be able to do. And if the data came back and said that there was a problem, I would be fully in agreement with you. But I think...
Well, I think if the town doesn't have money, we'll pay the expense, okay?
Yeah.
Based on, but I think I think it's kind of short-sighted, Kevin, that Braintree tested it on Jefferson Street, and then 8 other streets, they put it in. So I guess the question is, my point is, there are cut-throughs in the town. I'd say try it with us, see how it works. But those other streets probably need it as well. Look at Braintree as the test case. They have 8 streets. A year and a half ago, they had 1. Now they have a total of 8, and it don't work. So I think I guess the issue is public safety, kids on the street, all that kind of junk, and not junk, but all that kind of stuff factors, and with 22 kids on our street, and it's a cut-through, and if 100% of the people signed that I saw are in total agreement, they live on the street. They're there 24 hours a day. They hear the cars going up on the street. They see them, et cetera, et cetera. So, I think my recommendation or request is that the town uses presidential as a case. It's temporary. So they in Braintree, they go down in April. They come up in November, and try it. Why not try it? So that's my request.
Okay, thank you very much. To the board, questions, comments? Any discussion? If not, is there a motion? Seeing no motion? Going once, twice, 3 times? Okay, there's no motion. Next item on the agenda. Consider and establish a policy on the use of town vehicles. We have before us, we had asked the last meeting, well, not the last meeting, a couple meetings ago, in terms of a policy statement as it relates to the take-home vehicle list. We had indicated in prior years, this has been an issue, and we're looking, as I had indicated prior, as far as the selectmen having oversight responsibility. Again, no reflection on anybody. It's just something that's good business practice, and for auditing purposes as well. You have before you a list of DPW, fire, police, and assessor. And the DPW, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which includes sewer. And the reasons that are set forth make absolute sense, in my opinion. Fire department, there are 3. Again, same thing, they're required for emergency response. Police department, there are 4. Even though you note there are more positions listed, you got to remember that one deputy chief is retiring this Friday, and the sergeant that currently has it has been promoted to lieutenant. So it all shakes down to 4 cars. And the deputy assessor has one, as she does inspections on the way to the office and at the end of the day. So from that standpoint, what I would suggest is that if we approve the list as has been delineated with the provision, there is a caveat at the end that no other departments or staff are assigned take-home vehicles on a regular basis. However, from time to time, a situation may arise where a department head or staff member for town business purposes may be granted permission by the town manager to take a vehicle home. And I'm going to add a caveat, provided, however, that if this list is amended for more than a 30-day period, it shall be reviewed and approved by the Board of Selectmen. Is there, I've got that here. Is there any discussion?
I'll make that as a motion with the 2 caveats.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, so voted. The next item is transfers between account FY24 year end. Statutorily, at the end of each fiscal year, on or before July 15th, the Board of Selectmen is authorized to transfer between accounts. Many years ago, we couldn't do this. It had to be done by town meeting. And what would happen is a lot of these would run off into unpaid bills and then have to be considered at a September town meeting. So this has been able to streamline the process. You have before you an amended year-end transfer list with the reasons set forth, and the one we originally had, I had a number of questions, but the reasons have worked themselves out in my mind. We're taking from health insurance the amount of $202,300 and delineate them to the accounts specified and listed down before you. This list will become part of the minutes and part of the public record. Secondly, from the golf course, because it's an enterprise fund, from salaries, $11,000, to expenses, house repairs, which I want to go back to. And then in civil defense expenses, and I don't know why this is separate. Civil defense is not a revolving fund. but in any event, it's 1,800 for the stipend, and I'm taking that's for the stipend for the Deputy Emergency Management Director, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So the question will come on those that are delineated before you, but before we go on an ancillary thing, I just want to take off on the golf course. We do own a house up there, and I've always been of the mindset that the town should not be in the real estate business. If we've reached our 10%, or we're close to our 10% threshold as it relates to affordable housing, I'm wondering if we should consider the sale of this house at some point. I know we've got a lease agreement,
Yep.
a license agreement,
Correct.
which is,
An annual,
it's an annual thing, and, granted, the people that live there, we'd have to give them, requisite notice, but I think the time has come. Next year is going to be a tough year for us financially, and I think we should be looking at any and all sources of income that we can derive ourselves. The house went with the golf course when the town bought it many, many, many years ago, when you and I were on the board.
Yeah, no, I had mentioned this to the chairman. I think we should sell the house and it should be sold at market value if we've met our 10% affordable threshold in town. So that's, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to make that as a motion, but
Yeah,
it's a motion I want to make.
Okay. Motion
We
made.
just gave money for the house on Plymouth Street for Habitat.
Yeah.
But if we're at 10%, we've fulfilled our obligation. The planning board fulfilled their obligation with, well, the town did through the
MBTA.
planning board for the MBTA. So we're going to be in tough financial straits going forward, people. So let's get rid of that house. We're not landlords, and I think it should be sold at market rate.
Absolutely.
Okay, motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor of that particular motion as it relates to selling of the house on the property of Strawberry Valley, kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, unanimous. Question now comes on the transfer, the year-end transfers as was delineated and before you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? The only caveat I want to say is that if there is a bill that should come in at the last minute, that is rightfully and truly and reviewed by the town manager, that hasn't made the list, that does make the list, because we've got July, remember, we're at July 8th, July 15th is a week away.
Right.
Rather than us meeting, I would like to give him the authority to include that in our motion with that understanding, and after he would inform us of the same.
So motion to approve the list of transfers with the codicil, the town manager can authorize payment of an appropriate bill.
And motion made, seconded,
I'll second
discussion.
that.
All those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, so voted. We have, and I keep losing my agenda here, vote to authorize the town manager to sign the local action unit application regarding 871 Plymouth Street for South Shore Habitat for Humanity.
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, unanimous. Vote to grant an easement for a new pole to support electrical service to Island Grove recreational area.
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, so voted. That's
Motion
it,
to-
folks.
Motion to adjourn for the summer.
I'll
Motion to
second.
adjourn. Next meeting will be September 9th. We're going forward with the police chief assessment, the chairman, myself, the vice chairman will be sitting in on the assessment. We're trying to set up that sometime in July. And so that process for the new police chief is proceeding
Also,
rapidly.
just like to congratulate Deputy Chief Sullivan on his retirement as of Friday.
As of Friday.
34
there we
years,
go.
I believe.
34 years, and I could tell you a story, but I'm not going to.
Nope.
Never mind. Yes, and they're having an open house for Deputy Sullivan this Friday at noontime at the senior center, no, at the police station. Geez, I get the senior center. Senior center was the day before
The day before.
for the luncheon. And
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, so voted at 10:20 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you.